You are not the one that's going to give her
needs.
what she needs. Okay.
Can't even cook her fucking dinner. Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello!
Hi, everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of the SaVeg podcast.
Yes.
So today, guys, it is the long-awaited,
much anticipated.
but actually not.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like nobody's asked for this.
The podcast that no one asked for.
The podcast episode that nobody asked for.
But it is tradition.
It is tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, which is Love is Blind.
Love is Blind,
Season
guys.
5, Discussion.
With a little cheeky
So
beverage.
we have a little cheeky beve,
Cheers.
which is a Vizzy, which is a hard seltzer.
Mm. That's just a little
So we're going to drink this lovely cheeky beve while discussing Love is Blind.
So for those of you that have been following the podcast since day one, you'll know that early days, I just want to take a flashback for just a
Flashback.
for just a moment.
Okay.
Early days though, and I remember we did several like really random episodes. One of them was about Tiger King, for example.
Yee.
Another one we did the original Love is Blind, where we had the lovely baby voice of one of the characters. You know, the one that was trying to.
Did this come out during pandemic?
Yes.
Oh, that's why it
So-
like blew up.
So the first Love is Blind, guys, came out in, I think it was 2020 or 2020 during the pandemic. And I remember us doing an episode on it. So
Yes. And it was very, everyone was watching it.
everyone was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like during that time, because like same with Tiger King, those shows came out at the perfect time when everybody
was staying home.
was staying home watching it. So and I do feel like the first Love is Blind was probably the most interesting.
Just because it was like the first one, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting worse and worse.
Oh,
I feel
it
like
is.
every season I'm just like, oh my God, I can't.
Well, and the thing is with reality TV as well, it's like there's a narrative that they're pushing, and also it's like how much of it, like, did they like stop people? Like, how much of it is actually natural? Where they're like, oh, let's say we're having an argument or something, and they're like, oh, hang on, stop, guys, we didn't get the right angle. Re-argue. You know what I mean? Like,
well, last time we discussed it a bit, and based on our discussions, I would say most of it isn't natural.
no.
And most of it's fake as fuck. And also now at this point, because now it's already in season 5, right?
Yeah.
We just concluded season 5. And, since the very beginning, well, obviously, first of all, anyone that signs up for reality shows, like, that there's probably an ulterior motive. It's not just, oh, I just want to find love, right? A lot of these people, they want to become famous, and people know once you get on these reality shows nowadays, it's not like before where they just kind of disappear into nothingness.
Yeah.
Or they might try to become an actor, but now it's like you can become an influencer
Yeah.
right away because you're going to get all these followers just because you were on this reality show.
Yeah.
So now it's like getting more and more obvious. I'm like, okay, I feel like people are just here for attention.
Oh, for sure.
They're just here to become an influencer.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It was like one from last season, not this season, but from the season
Yeah.
before. One of the girls from day one, well, the two of them that were like the mean girls.
The annoying girls.
Yeah, I can't remember what the one girl's name was.
can't remember
and
their
then
names.
Mika was the other one, the blonde
Right.
girl.
Okay.
And I was like, you just know these girls. And Mika did a whole sob story about how she was in love with Paul and blah 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 blah. And it was like, Mika, you were just on there for the fame. Like let's keep it real for the fans here.
I think Mika's the blonde girl.
Yeah.
I think at the end though, she did fall for Paul because she was not a good actress and she was bawling her eyes out. Okay. That's what I mean.
Well,
You cannot act like that. Like, I don't think she would be a good enough actress. So she was like crying because she eventually got feelings for Paul, or either that or didn't want to be rejected, one or the other.
Yeah.
But I think her emotions at the end was real because I don't think she's that good of an actress.
You think I give her too much credit?
Well, that's not giving her credit.
Well, yeah, because I think she's faking it all.
Well, so I'm giving her too much credit. Is that what you're saying?
No, I am, because I'm saying she's faking it so that.
So you think she's a good actress?
Yes.
No, she's not a good actress. There's no way in hell.
You never know. So basically, the way that we usually do these episodes,
How
guys,
do we usually do these episodes?
is we look at the different couples,
Right.
and we dive into each one of them and talk about our thoughts, our feelings.
There you go.
Moments in the show.
Well, this season was very interesting because there was only 2 couples that actually made it to the altar.
I know.
If guys don't know the show, okay, let's just like do a little background of the show.
Right. Okay.
So essentially, for those of you that have a life and don't watch crappy TV like this, basically the premise of the show is that you have like a girl's side, like a women's section and a man's section.
Yep.
And then none of these people get to see each other in the very beginning. So in the very beginning, they're in what, Daniel?
They're in the pods.
The pods.
Yeah.
So these pods are basically like rooms where you can't see the other room, but
Yeah.
there's like sound. So
Yeah.
they can talk to each other, but they can't see each other.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of like having these blind, like literal blind dates. And they're just like talking their feelings, drinking as much alcohol as possible,
Yep.
and having these dates. And then they try to build a connection.
And they you know, the whole, you know, concept of the experiment is to see if people will fall in love sight unseen.
Oh my God, it's so annoying when they're like, "Ah, will you fall in love sight unseen? Or will the real world catch up?" Or some random shit. And I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever fucking...
Oh, it's so, you know what though, guys, I have to say honestly, another reason why I kind of enjoy watching it, like I don't enjoy it, but like we have a group chat with one of our friends and we've been watching every time a season comes out, we're just like, the ridiculousness, we'll be like in the group chat being like, what the fuck are we watching? Like just out of pure like more like shock factor or like,
it's just more like, you know, sometimes you just need to watch something stupid, right? Like, for example, our podcast, we often talk about very dark things in the world. So sometimes we need to just dial it back and discuss something that's completely dumb and meaningless to our lives.
Yes.
So it's nice. And, well, I don't know, like, do you watch other reality TV much?
Not really.
So this is like the one thing that I watch.
Because I'm trying to think if I watch any other reality TV.
Didn't you watch like Selling Sunset or something?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I watch it like in the background.
Oh, okay.
Like I'll have it like on sometimes if I don't know if I literally don't know what to watch, I'll just put that on in the background because I like to, and it's not for the actual show. It's I like to see the houses.
Interesting, because I thought it was about the drama.
Well, I mean, it is the show.
Right.
There is drama on the show, but really, like some of the houses are just so beautiful.
Right,
and, like,
it's in LA, right?
Yeah, it's. I mean, they're like ridiculous, like $50 million houses and shit.
Yeah,
like, it's insane. But it's just really cool to like see. I guess I don't know. That's partly why I just have it on in the background, and I'm just like, oh, that's a cool house.
Anyway, so Love is Blind. So so they're talking to each other, sight unseen. They fall in love. There's also drama in these pods.
Of course,
it's
there
so
is.
fucking stupid.
Yeah.
They're talking about sex positions and oh my God, like how many siblings do you have? Like blah blah blah.
My favorite part of this show too is like, and we'll go into this in a little bit, but like it's so ridiculous. It happens every single season where these couples, you know, they'll get engaged and they're always just like, you know, when people in the real world, their parents and their families are like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, you don't know the connection we have in these pods, right? Like, I don't know what they're smoking in these motherfucking pods.
They're drinking a lot of alcohol.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, we just built this, you know, this amazing emotional connection. Nobody understands because they weren't in the pods. And then they'll get into the real world and shit will come up like, I'm really shit with finances. And I'm like, is that not something you guys discuss in the pods? Like real life shit. Like one person had a cat and a dog and the guy's like, oh, I'm allergic to a cat. Like, did you not have these discussions? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. I think they're just like literally fueled with alcohol. And you know, when you get into these reality shows, they don't use their phone. You know, they're not allowed to use a phone. They, you know, and they're like trapped in a room and all you're doing is talking. Here's the thing. This is why this show is so stupid. Because it's like, it's not, they're acting as if this is all it takes, right? Like you just need some sort of emotional connection through your words. But you have to realize that when you're in like a room and it's like talking on a phone with somebody, people can pause and people can like, you know, manipulate words. Like people can say anything. Okay. It's like as if words are the only way that we can make connection.
Well, this is the thing. And they do say like body language is so important, right? Like, cause like the way I'm saying something, tone and all of that. Right. But somebody could be saying something in these pods and the other person could take it as like, oh, they're really into me. But meanwhile, they could be like rolling their eyes or something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, this person doesn't believe this.
And like when you are on, when you're just like talking to someone like that and you don't have to look at each other, you can probably, you might get like emotionally vulnerable. But at the end of the day, that's not the only thing that makes relationships work. You know, like you have to actually, you know, be with each other in the real world.
Yes.
Because that just doesn't even make any sense. Like you're just talking at this point. It's like a pen pal, but like it's just like a person you talk on the phone with.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a relationship like that. So to pretend that this is some sort of great beginning to a emotional connection, I would not argue that's
So
Yeah.
what you're saying, Rose, is you would not get engaged sight unseen.
well, I would for the fame and
Yeah.
to become
honestly,
a bazillionaire.
You should go on there and boost your following. Like
This is what people do.
You already have a big following, but like I mean, like you could go on there.
I
and
could
get
have a
even
different
more.
following.
Yes.
Oh God.
Like you could blow up, and then all these people are like, ooh,
Why not you, Daniel?
oh god, damn.
They need a gay version.
Well,
I keep telling people.
oh god, damn, that'd be
but-
complicated as hell. There'd be some real drama in those fucking pods. Let me tell you.
I think they're just gonna start just fucking each other immediately.
This is it. Because like we talked about this before in the gay world, there's like a few different, preferences, if you will. So it gets confusing. It's not
we
like
can talk about it, Daniel. This ain't PG.
I know. We don't have to go into it.
People that give or receive presents.
Yeah, but then there's also a lot of people that
Some people give and receive.
Some people are versed.
Some
they
people
call it. Yeah.
like to mostly give, and some
Sometimes
people like to
receive.
mostly receive.
Yes. So it's
So
a little bit
so
like.
some people said you should divide it into givers and receivers.
But the thing is like there's so many people. I would say that majority of people fall in the middle.
Oh, interesting.
So they do a
Okay.
bit of both.
So majority of people,
I would
you
think.
you really?
I don't know.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I
But
haven't.
then I've also heard,
I
and
haven't
let me
done
know
a
if this
survey
is true.
recently, so
Let me know if this is true. This is what I heard. I heard that the receivers are like, how do I say? Like, there's like stigma against being a receiver.
yeah, there is.
Which I think is so stupid
It's
because
so
it's like,
dumb.
I don't understand because, you need a receiver.
Well, you need both. But
You need both.
There's a new term that came out, guys. Not to like digress.
I love how we're just digressing so hard.
I know. It's the alcohol. But the new term that came out is a side. So the position is called side.
Okay.
I don't
What
know
does
too
that
much.
entail?
I don't know too much about it, but apparently it's somebody that like doesn't actually like to have penetrative sex.
Oh.
So they just like to like either have oral or hand
Like
jobs.
all the
or-
time?
Yeah. And they don't
Oh.
they don't have penetrative sex.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, so there's
That's very
that too.
interesting. I guess you don't need to do the full,
Well, you don't have. Everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has different like sexual
like
preferences.
it ain't Christmas every day,
Exactly.
Can't give the
exactly.
presents all the time.
Well, and some people, for whatever reason, they just don't enjoy that stuff, right?
I mean, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting. This episode is brought to you by Complement. Complement Essential is the ultimate multivitamin made for and by plant-based eaters.
Optimize your health with the 8 critical vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s. Proven hard to get through a plant-based diet alone, all in one easy-to-take capsule.
I've been taking Complement Essential for months now, and it makes it so easy to make sure I'm filling in all my nutrient gaps.
If you're looking for the multivitamin for plant-based eaters, make sure to check out Complement Essential.
Go to lovecomplement.com. That's LOVECOMPLEMENT.com and use code SaVeg Podcast, SAVEG Podcast, to get 15% off your order and save even more by subscribing so you never miss taking your vitamins. Be sure to check out their other awesome products like vegan protein powder, gut nurture, and daily greens.
Once again, that's lovecomplement.com and use the code SaVegPodcast to save 15% off Complement products.
Thank you so much to Complement for supporting this podcast.
Thank you.
So there is so far no gay version of Love is Blind.
No.
If there was, I would love to watch it.
There was a bisexual dating show.
What was that one called?
I can't remember. I'll have to look it up for you guys. But I think I remember Courtney Act, who's a famous drag queen. She's
Right.
the one that was like hosting it, I think.
Okay.
Anyway,
Interesting.
yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so Love is Blind. So yeah, so then some of them get engaged, some of them don't, and then you usually end up with like maybe like 4 or 5 couples that
Yeah.
are engaged.
Like every season, there's been 4 or 5 couples.
Yeah, usually there's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And this season was a little bit dramatic because
No.
there was only 2
Well,
there was 3 that
was-
got engaged, which we will
Spoiler
get
alert,
into.
guys.
Well, I'm sure you guys already know there's
Yeah.
going to be spoilers,
Yeah.
but whatever. Who
Yeah.
the fuck cares?
There was 3 engagements.
Yes. So
2
let's
made it to the altar.
Okay, so first of all, let's go through the character. Okay, so the premise is you get engaged,
Yep.
and then you finally meet each other for the first time,
Yeah.
and then you spend like a week, like honeymoon or whatever
Well,
it's called.
well, hang on, but Rose, we don't want to downplay it. The week that they spend on the resort in Mexico or wherever they go is to turn the emotional connection that they made in
Into
the
a
pods
physical
into
one.
a physical one. And I'm like, it honestly, the way they talk, I'm just like, what are
I
these
know.
people smoking?
Sometimes I wish they could just come out and just call a spade a spade and just say this is a trashy reality TV show.
Yes.
It's kind of like I don't know. I've never really watched Love Island, but I feel like Love Island at least kind of just like knows it's like trashy
trashy
TV.
reality.
Yeah, so then they just kind of like embrace that. Whereas this show just constantly pretends like it's really trying to find love.
I really think that the two hosts think that it is like the best social experiment.
I think
they're really,
I don't think they believe it.
You don't think so?
I don't think they believe it at all. They know it's such bullshit.
Yeah, they're probably just they're just there for the paycheck.
Exactly. And honestly, anyone could do their job. Jesus Christ.
God. And
they're so
annoying. Guys, there was a little bit of controversy last season. So basically, one of the guys on last season, the girl that he was with, she basically was like,
you mean Marshall?
Yeah.
Oh God, I've completely forgot about last.
Marshall and I can't remember what the girl's name.
I don't know. She was annoying.
But Jackie.
Jackie.
Right. So what had happened was Jackie basically broke it off with Marshall before they went to the altar. So she did a bunch of things, and I think Marshall was really like, I know it takes two sides to every story, but Marshall was like really like professional for the most part, like really good about
He was so sweet.
Yeah, he was. And then he got on the show. And then they went to do the reunion, and Jackie like didn't even come to the reunion.
Yeah.
And he made a really good point. He's like, you know what, to be completely honest, like Jackie robbed me of this experience of the entire show because number one, we didn't make it to the altar. She ended it before that.
Right.
And then number two, she hasn't even come in person to the reunion for me to confront her about it.
Right.
She sent a video chat to the
she had a separate interview.
Yeah, a separate
with
interview.
Vanessa Lachey.
Yeah, and then Vanessa Lachey, everybody blew up on her because it was pretty clear that Jackie kind of like did some things that she probably shouldn't have. And honestly, Vanessa was like, for example, Jackie wanted to keep the wedding ring. She's like,
that was so weird.
I know. She's like, I'm going to keep the wedding ring. And Marshall's like, well, no, we're not getting married. Like, you need to give it back to me. It was expensive too, probably. And Vanessa was like defending her on it. And she was like grilling Marshall and was like she was obviously taking Jackie's side.
Right.
And everybody blew up and was like, there was like a petition that went around.
Oh my God.
I think it got like over 50,000 signatures.
Okay.
To replace her as a talk show
people need
host.
to get a life.
I know.
It
was wild though, guys.
It's not that deep, people.
I know.
She was annoying for sure. She was very annoying. But at the end of the day, it's a stupid reality show.
Yeah, and she's always like, so, babies? You guys having babies?
Yeah, she kept
when
saying
are you having
that.
babies?
It's like, oh my God, are we going to have our first Love is Blind baby? I'm like, what is with this obsession with babies?
I know.
There are enough babies. We do not need more babies. If they decide to have babies, great. But you don't need to keep bringing this shit up.
Exactly.
Anyways, okay.
So annoying. But anyway, so let's get into the couples.
All right, let's get into the couples. So they spend a week in Mexico.
Yep.
And then they, and then they have like big parties and stuff or whatever. I feel like this time I can't remember. And then they like go and like I guess they kind of like live together in the real world.
Meet each other's families.
Exactly. And then eventually, like a month later, they like go and like it's so funny because they like make them dress up, do the whole like buying the wedding dress, getting the suit and all this stuff, getting up to the altar, and then that's when somebody can be like, no.
Yeah. But the weird thing too, even think about the wedding dress, the whole experience, right?
I know.
Like when they're going to get their wedding dress, like, yeah, okay, for example, they might be there with like their mom, their sister, their best friend, but they're also with all the other show contestants. So it's like they're all just like getting wedding dresses in a group.
Together, yeah.
It's like weird, you know?
Well,
it's like,
I mean, this whole thing is weird.
No, I know. But it's like, if I was like, and it's the same with the guys, they do everything together as a group, but I'm like, well, hang on a second. These aren't my friends. These are just people from the show. Like, what the fuck?
That's true.
Like, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you sign up for the show,
this is
so
true.
I guess that's what you have to deal with.
You get what you sign up for.
Yeah, if you want to have a normal wedding, then, find a dude the normal way.
How we do that?
Okay, so that's a great question. So this time, guys, the show was in Houston, Texas.
God damn.
So we have Lydia Gonzalez.
Wait, no, I think. Let me.
How are we going to do this, Daniel?
I think we should first talk about the people
that didn't make it
and had situations.
You mean Uche?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to talk about the narcissist that is Uche.
So let's talk about Uche and Aaliyah.
Okay, so Uche. Oh my God. Uche.
Yeah.
So Uche, it's so disappointing when you see like good-looking people become so fucking miserable, like just so awful. Because I thought Uche was very hot at first.
He is really hot.
Like physically, he's very attractive. Yeah. But by the end, I was like, you are like the least attractive person at this moment.
I think with Uche, the thing that got me with him is he was just so... like even when he had chats with the other women, like he was just like in the pods and stuff, he was very like... He always talked, it was almost like he was talking business.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he was
yeah,
very
yeah.
like
Yeah.
like that kind of to people, and also so fucking condescending.
Yes.
Like his tone would change as if he was like talking to a child sometimes, and he'd be like,
Yeah.
this is what I said, I meant it like this, blah blah blah. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
I know.
Oh,
God, if a man had the audacity to talk to me like that.
the way he would talk to some of these girls, I was
know.
like, I was actually in shock.
Yeah, he was very annoying. So I guess, he was a lawyer. So maybe
Yeah.
that kind of explains it. I don't know. He definitely thought he was better than everybody.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And he like, I guess had a connection
Yeah.
with, what's her name?
Aaliyah.
Yeah. So they had this like connection or whatever. And then there was like a moment where he was like, they were talking about Aaliyah's like, how she cheated on her ex or something.
And he got crazy with her though, because she
Well, that part I kind of was still somewhat on his side until later.
until you found out that he cheated.
What was that about again?
Because didn't it come out that he cheated on Lydia when they were
Well,
together?
but then I think some people are saying, which I kind of believe, that they weren't even really in a relationship, and Lydia's just a bit crazy, and she
Okay.
thought they were in a relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, were they even in a relationship, or was it a situationship? Were
Yeah.
they official? Because it didn't sound like they were official.
Yeah.
So it's a little different if you're like sleeping with people. If you don't,
if you don't make it official.
if you don't make it official, like obviously there's sometimes when it's like implied.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like.
But
anyway,
also,
either way.
Yeah. Also, he was like, even just the way he questioned people, though.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
like, when he was questioning Aaliyah. So Aaliyah, they were chatting. They made a connection. They really liked each other. And then Aaliyah, like, it did come up in conversation. And Aaliyah's like, yeah, I did something like I wasn't proud of. Like, in my last relationship, I did cheat on my partner. Like, the relationship had like kind of seen its course, and we probably should have split up.
Right.
You know? And she was like, I feel really guilty about it. It's a shitty thing to do. I shouldn't have done it. And then he was like pressing her on it, like pressing and pressing. And he was like, well, when did this happen? And she was like, well, it happened like, I don't know, 6 months or a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're a recent cheater.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Yeah. And he
that
got,
part that was a bit much.
yeah. And then he started like really grilling down on her. And I was just like, well, and she's like, I'm just being open and honest with you right now.
Right.
So I don't know. It was.
Yeah, like I mean, the thing is, I guess at that point, you can just make a decision, right? Like what he did, I think it was like he kept grilling her.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been better. I mean, maybe like, I don't know, we're just watching it from, an outside perspective. It would have been better if you were just like, you just make a decision. Okay, am I okay with the fact that you cheated?
Exactly.
And then I can just move on from that.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to marry this person. You weren't even engaged with this person.
Exactly.
And he's already just like making her feel like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get that. Like, obviously it's not a good place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that's not a good thing to hear from somebody that you might want to have as your
course.
partner.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, well, you're not engaged yet. Like, she doesn't necessarily owe you an explanation about her previous relationship. You have to decide if you're okay with it or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is it. But I see why he would get a little bit upset. Like,
Yeah.
I think that that's a question that a lot of people could have. Like, if I met my partner and found out that they, through conversation, they like mentioned that they did cheat on their previous partner, like, I don't know how I'd feel about it. Like, I probably wouldn't like grill it too much, but it would kind of like,
It would bother you.
It would bother me a tiny bit, because it would
Yeah.
sometimes be in the back of my mind, like, hey, you're staying out late with your friends. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I don't want to be that crazy person, like I want to.
You're crazy enough as it is.
Exactly. Ideally, you want to trust your partner. So like, if they're going out with their friends,
Yeah.
you're going out with your friends. Doesn't matter. You're not like blowing each other up.
Yeah. But based on Uche's behavior,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's a good person.
No,
so
and
fuck that guy.
he was very like almost like, I feel like if you look up the dictionary for the definition of gaslighting,
yes.
he was there.
Oh my God. He knew exactly how to gaslight
Oh,
people.
it was crazy.
Every situation was like, oh, it's like your fault. Oh, somehow he like, even if he's in the wrong, he just like twists it.
Oh, and he was so. I think what really got me about Uche though is just his tone, like the way he spoke. It was very just like
monotone almost.
monotone, but also aggressive.
Yeah.
Like it was very like I can see why he'd probably be a really good lawyer.
Yeah.
But he was very just like I don't know how to describe it, but
Almost
it was like,
emotionless.
yes, and then just very like, oh, you're a recent cheater. Okay, well, oh, tell me, like
Yeah.
it was like very, I don't know, it just
He just wasn't believable as a human being.
no, I didn't. it didn't sit well with me. The whole Uche.
I know. And then eventually Aaliyah was like, fuck this shit, and just like left.
Yeah, she was like-
before everything.
Yeah, she like laughed and then she was like, hey, this is like not great, so
Yeah.
she left. Then they come back together.
They eventually meet.
Yeah.
And then I think she kind of wanted him back, and he's like, no. And oh yeah, but then before she left, the reason why she left, oh my God. This
Yeah.
is why I don't believe anything in the show. I
Yeah.
feel like this was all staged.
Yeah.
So the reason why she left is because she was becoming good friends with this girl named Lydia,
Yeah.
who we will discuss. And oh man,
Rose's favorite character.
so Lydia and her, what's her name? Aaliyah, become really good friends. And Lydia keeps saying shit like, oh, we're so similar. Oh my God, we're like the same. And Lydia is just like, being like her best friend or whatever. Yeah. And then later on, so this is where Uche was like, I'm sorry, you are also not being truthful here.
Yeah.
Because after him and Aaliyah built this connection, they dropped this bomb that Lydia and Uche used to date.
In the outside world, before the show.
In the outside world.
Yeah. And
in
it was
the
like,
real world.
It was like, what the fuck? And Aaliyah's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? And again, he wasn't truthful about that. You know, he could have been open and honest and been like, actually, I've dated one of the girls in the pods.
Right. Although they did say that in the beginning they shouldn't say anything because it'll compromise the experiment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because it's very scientific.
It's a scientific experiment.
I just love, like, honestly, it's so ridiculous. Yeah, it's going to compromise the validity of the experiment. You know.
And once again, I would like to point out that once again, they never put anyone that's not conventionally attractive on this show.
Right.
So I still want to have a non-conventionally attractive Love is Blind. I would watch the shit out of that.
Yeah. Have some hot people, have some not so hot people.
Yes, mix
all
it
together.
up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's truly see if looks don't matter because that's what we want to see.
But you know they do. So
of course, that's why it's so stupid.
Like it's don't get me wrong. Honestly, like if somebody has a really amazing personality, you can look past a lot of things. But at the end of the day, exactly. At the end of the day, like for example, like there's certain things where it's like it's just not going to work. Like if I'm not sexually or physically attracted to somebody, no matter how nice and amazing of a person they are, which this sounds terrible, guys.
It doesn't sound terrible. This is normal.
I know, but I'm like, I just can't.
The thing is, at the end of the day, okay, we are animals. Okay, there are certain things that we are attracted to, certain things, and if someone's just a nice person, I will be friends with them. Okay,
exactly.
We can be friends.
I'm friends with like everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean we're like romantically involved, and so I think it's completely fine to have certain standards. And you're right. Like, I've liked people that aren't like in the beginning. I didn't think they were very attractive physically, but then, you build attraction over time, maybe because like your personalities match or whatever, or, they're really funny or great, whatever it is. Yeah. So that is possible, but there is like a certain level of like,
there's a baseline.
There's a spectrum of looks. Okay. So some people, unfortunately, I will never.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a reality. So anyway, yeah. So
Uche and Lydia, they dated, and then Uche starts going absolutely berserk, insane about this Lydia situation, and like starts a fucking campaign against this woman.
Yeah, and then he starts saying like, Lydia followed me onto the show, and she was like,
"Do you think she did?"
I don't know. There's speculation, guys, that Lydia found out he was going on the show, and she applied as well. So
I mean, based on her behavior, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh my god.
She drove past his house.
According to him.
I don't think she denied it, Daniel.
Oh, God.
Okay, do you really think she wouldn't do something like this? Come on now.
I don't know. Okay.
She's like a lot.
She is.
And she was very desperate. Like, this is the thing with Lydia. She was an attractive lady. She was a little too crazy. I feel like she made being like crazy and loud her entire personality, which I found very annoying from the beginning. Like, it's fine. I don't mind crazy, loud people, but it was very much like, I'm Lydia. I'm crazy and loud. That's me. And I'm like,
remind you of one of my old friends.
Oh, a little bit now that you mention it. Oh
I'm so and so. Welcome to the city.
It's just like, okay, you need to just
like take it down from like a 10 to like maybe a 5.
It's just giving very much. I need attention constantly.
I'm hungry for attention. Give it to me.
And she was very I felt kind of bad for her because she kept saying how I just want to be loved.
It was kind of sad. Like it was sad because there was a moment where she got really emotional and she was like crying and stuff, and she's like I just want to like find somebody that loves me, you know, for me. And I was like, oh, like I can relate to that. Like
I think at that point, honestly, she would have married anybody that would have proposed to her.
That's true.
That's where I'm like, okay, girl, like you need to,
You need to calm down a little bit.
You need to love yourself first, honey. Okay.
Well, and as you say, like, and as we say, we've said it many times on the podcast, I'm not discrediting marriage or anything, but like I do feel like there is people like Lydia that like on this show that get so desperate to be in a relationship that they don't care about anything else, and they'll date anyone, they'll marry anyone. And it's like sometimes like they'll end up not happy in that relationship. And it's like they just want to be in a relationship. I'm like, guys, like, yeah, it's nice to meet a partner. I would love to meet a partner, but also I'm not just going to like date anyone.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know? Like, but anyway.
So now we've moved on to Lydia.
Well, no, I feel like we haven't finished Aaliyah and Uche yet.
Okay, what else?
Because what had happened was after that whole situation happened, Aaliyah like confronted Lydia. They had a chat, blah, 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 blah. And then Uche and Aaliyah ended up leaving the show.
Yes.
She's like, you know what? I don't want to fucking deal with this. This is like not okay.
Yeah.
So she left, which I kind of feel like, I don't know. Like, would you have left?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of the show is real. I don't know what I would have done.
This is true.
At that point, I don't know.
And she left because basically Lydia was telling her things about Uche that she didn't want to know. She was like, oh, he has a nice house.
Yeah.
We had sex like 4 months ago. You know,
Yeah, like all this crazy
he's
shit.
really tall. And she's like, this is not the experiment. Like, I don't want to know this. And then she left, and Uche didn't end up getting engaged. And
Yeah.
he, you know.
So that was the end of Uche and Aaliyah.
Yeah. They did meet up again a little bit later in the
Yes.
show, but they still never got together. And I think at that point, Aaliyah was like, no, I don't want to deal with this guy. Like,
Yeah.
he was just very condescending. Like, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
Like,
He was the worst.
yeah, he was probably one of the worst on the show.
Yeah, definitely, in
He's-
my opinion.
He reminded me of that. What was that like? Do you remember that guy? Oh, fuck. What was his name?
the Indian guy?
Yeah.
Shake
or whatever. Yeah. He's like the
Shake was more blatant though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I almost prefer Shake because he's just more honest.
Yeah. He's just like in your face. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah, he's
Fuck
very
you.
much like I care about looks, like blah
Yeah.
blah blah. This woman reminds me of my aunt, like saying like
Oh,
the most unhinged crap.
Oh, he was unhinged. Oh,
Whereas like Uche, I'm just like, you're not even entertaining. You're just like awful.
yeah. I still can't believe he said Dipti looked like his aunt.
Oh my god, which
She
is
was gorgeous.
insane.
I
She
"Are
was
you
like the
fucking
most
kidding
gorgeous
me?"
one there.
I know, like you're
And he looks like a
insane.
potato next
I
to
know,
her. Like,
he
come on
did.
now.
Oh,
Okay, like let's be serious.
exactly. So Lydia.
Okay, so Lydia. So then, okay, so couple. I don't even know how we're gonna do this. Whatever. This whole
Yeah,
thing
this
is
is
a
the
mess.
next couple.
So Lydia.
Yeah.
She's this girl. Okay, she is like, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm loud as fuck. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I need to find love.
I'm this and I'm that.
Yeah. So she falls in love first with. Oh my god, what was the one guy that like rejected her? Oh, it's the Izzy.
Oh, it was
Right?
Izzy. Yeah.
Was it Izzy?
Was it? Oh,
I think it was Izzy.
hang on. Let's think.
Yes,
Let's
it
think.
was Izzy.
Are you sure?
Yes, because who else was there? It wasn't JP. Yeah, it was Izzy.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and then Izzy picked.
Well, Izzy also rejected Johnny too, right?
Yeah, apparently everyone was in love with Izzy.
Yeah, we'll talk about Izzy in a minute.
Yeah.
because there's a lot to talk
So
about.
at first,
yeah.
Izzy and Lydia were like, "Ooh la la la," and then Izzy was like, "Oh my god, we need to break up."
Yeah.
And then Lydia was like fucking heartbroken. And then
Yeah.
of course, immediately after this, even though she's like, "Oh my god, my heart is shattered into pieces,"
Yeah.
she's like, "Okay, let me go and talk to Milton."
Yeah.
Because this bitch was gonna get engaged no matter what.
No matter what.
Okay,
And
that
so-
was her entire goal.
Milton was this young 24-year-old guy.
Lydia was 30.
Yeah, Lydia was 30. I have to say though, Milton even though he was 24, was like the most mature person on the entire show. Like,
Well, based on what we saw.
yeah, based on what we saw, because everyone else was fucking unhinged,
Mm-hmm.
wild. I have to say, one of my favorite scenes, and I thought Milton actually was amazing in this. And I
Okay,
was
which
like,
scene?
it was when they were all like, it's just hard because I'm talking
Well,
and then
somehow I'm doing it. Just do this, like you know, like you don't have to turn your entire head. You see, like
this,
no, like can you not look at me like on the like that?
like that. Okay, yeah. It just feels awkward. But no, who are? Oh
Okay,
yeah,
we're
Milton.
talking about Milton.
Oh yeah, so the scene that was really good is basically Uche. They were all outside of the pods. They were like in the real world, all for drinks and stuff.
Well, you're getting ahead of it.
Yeah.
So Lydia and Milton, they got engaged in the pods.
Yeah.
So they meet. Milton's tall as fuck. Milton says some crazy shit in the pods. He's like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna die early because I'm tall.
Yeah.
I'm
He's
like-
so fucking
And
weird.
then Lydia's like, is this your way of telling me you're tall? So anyways, they got engaged. You know, because and at first Lydia's like, oh, I don't know if I can marry someone that's like 24.
Yeah.
And then as soon as she gets rejected by Izzy, she's like, actually, Milton, I'm in love with you.
Yeah, I can marry a 24-year-old
Yeah.
now.
So anyway, they get engaged. They're in Mexico. They seem to be having a good time.
Yeah.
And then they all like eventually after Mexico?
It was after
They
Mexico,
have
yeah.
this like random reunion where like all the cast members kind of like come together. So
Yeah.
like even like Uche was there and
Bunch of people.
a bunch of
Yeah.
people. Okay, so
And
then
then
this is where
And then Uche pulls Milton aside. He's like, "Hey, Milton, we're buddies. Let's have a quick chat." And Milton's like, okay. And then he literally, Uche goes off about Lydia. He's like,
Yeah.
she's fucking crazy. She stalked my life. She followed me onto this show, all this stuff. And then Milton was like, he handled it so well. He was just like, didn't feed into all of what Uche was doing.
Yeah.
And actually was just like, hey man, like, you know what? We're all on different trajectories. I like Lydia. Whatever happened in your guys' past, I really don't care. Like,
I know.
It is what it is. And he talked about
good.
some kind of like mathematical equation because he's a fucking nerd.
That was so random.
I know, but I was like, he just handled it so well. And he's like,
did.
nice chat, but like I'm going to continue dating Lydia. I like her. And then that was it. And then Lydia and Uche had like a huge blowout.
I know.
And Lydia was like screaming at the end of it, Melton, we're going, Melton. And then they like left. So
They didn't actually leave though, did they?
I think they did
I think they
leave.
kind of like walked away a bit and came back.
Yeah.
And so my favorite Milton line was when he was like, oh, we have something to do. So basically like Lydia and Uche were like fighting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then somehow Uche like can't mind his own business.
Of course not.
And is like trying to talk to Milton or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Milton's like, well, actually, we have somewhere to go in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I liked that because I'm like, they have nowhere to go, but he's like trying to get out of the situation,
Yeah.
shorten this time. And I was like, oh, that's a good, like, that's a mature way.
He'd be professional.
He is. He was mature, especially for a 24-year-old.
Yeah.
Um,
Meanwhile, everyone's older than him and acting
my
unhinged
God.
as fuck.
like Uche, the thing is, okay, like who cares, Uche? Okay,
Yeah.
fucking calm down. You're not even on this show. It's not like you're wanting to date Lydia.
Yeah.
It's not like your buddy, like that fucking close with Milton. Let him make his mistake if you
Yeah.
think it's a mistake. Like
Well,
it's not really your fucking business.
Exactly. And a lot of people were saying too, like, you know how Uche was like, oh, Lydia's crazy. She followed me on the show, blah, 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 blah. But if you look at like actually watching it, like her with Aaliyah, even though she knew that Aaliyah was dating Uche, she was like encouraging Aaliyah to date him. She was like, yeah,
Right.
you should, you know what? I think you should really give it a try. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like she was like, don't date him. He's a fucking dick. She actually was like really encouraging Aaliyah, being
Right.
like, you should just go for it. Like, see where it goes. She was being very open-minded with it. So it makes me question if she was like,
if she followed him to the
like
show.
maybe she did, but
Right.
I think maybe she got to a point where she's like, we're on different paths. Uche can do what he needs to do, and I'm doing what I need to do. And then when she found out Aaliyah was dating him, she's like, just go for it, like
Yeah.
because if she was really obsessed with him still, she would have tried to like sabotage that.
That's true.
So
Interesting.
yeah, that's my theory.
I think it's I also want to know how they cast for these shows. I think they like message people on Instagram. Like I don't even
What?
know. I know
Yeah.
it's very random.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Lydia and Milton.
I love, okay, one other thing we got to talk about Milton before we move to the next couple though. I fucking loved his sister and how...
Oh my God, his family. Wait, was it his family?
His whole family,
his family
yeah.
was wonderful.
Yeah, but they were fucking hilarious because his sister and mom were like talking to Lydia,
Yeah.
and they were like, his sister's like, I don't believe it. This is bullshit. Like she was just so like, and Lydia's like, no, and the sister's like, this sounds rehearsed. Tell me something real. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, they were not an easy family to meet.
Definitely not.
They were like, what is a 30-year-old woman doing with a 24-year-old?
I mean, to be fair, it's only 6 years difference.
Yeah, but 30 and 24 is a big difference. It's
I
not
guess.
like it's 30 and 36. We're
Yeah.
talking 24, like newly graduated from university versus 30. I think it is a big difference. I don't think it's like a deal breaker difference.
No.
But it's pretty young. 24 is young.
That's true.
We've talked about it before. It's about life stages. It's not necessarily just
True.
about...
It's not just about age. It's about life stages.
It's
That's
like
very true.
24 is very young. Anyway, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't even understand this couple. Like,
I know, I
what do you
didn't-
even have in common?
Well, I think because they both were like geology or something. They both were like
something
kind of
like
like
that.
they're both really big nerds actually. Like even though
Yeah.
like because Lydia did a lot of schooling, she values schooling. He's the same. He did his master's, so I think they connected over that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And that's why they got like that rock as a gift, like some weird
I
rock
don't
formation.
know.
Long story short, guess what? They got married.
They got married. They
Yep.
were
Shocker.
the only couple that got
Yes.
married this season.
Yep.
Which, by the way, once again, the queen of predicting shit that never matters.
Yeah.
Me.
That's true.
I guessed exactly.
That's
the
another thing we do.
situation.
This is what we do in our group chat,
Yeah.
guys. We have a prediction before the finale.
Yes.
And we're like, hey guys, okay,
What
who's
do we
gonna get
think?
married? Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we all like put in our like 2 cents.
Yeah. And I'll tell you my formula. So I have a formula. I think I was wrong last season though. I can't remember.
last season, but you still got a couple right, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
There was like 7 couples last season.
So my formula and how I kind of like predict who's gonna get married and not is how they edit the final few episodes.
Yeah.
And if it feels like there's more like tumultuousness in this couple, they're probably gonna get married.
Right.
And if it feels like they're getting along better, like pretty well, then my prediction is that they're not gonna get married. So they try to do like the opposite thing.
Yeah.
And I've been right at least a couple
You
seasons,
have.
like
You
fully
definitely
right.
have, yeah.
So this season, I mean, it wasn't that hard this season. There was only two fucking couples.
You had a 50-50 chance, basically.
And really, if I didn't have that formula, I probably would have guessed that Milton and Lydia weren't going to get married. But the way that they edited it at the end, they were very much like showing the fighting and all these things. I was like, they're going to get married. Anyway, so they got married.
Yep.
Okay, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
So far, so far we have the one couple from season 1, the one couple that everyone's like, oh my God.
Cameron and Lauren, I think.
Cameron and Lauren. Yeah. They're still married.
Yep.
I think season 2, both of them, like all of them. Wait,
Barnett
and what's his Amber. So they're still married. Are they from season 2 or what?
I think they're from season 2.
Okay, whichever season.
Yeah.
And then there was like season 3 where they all got divorced.
Did they?
I think it was season 3.
God
so the
damn.
season with the potentially gay man and what's her face?
Oh,
low
they
self-esteem
split
girl.
up.
Yeah, they split up. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the was she
low self-esteem girl who had like a meltdown.
Danielle. Her name was Danielle.
There you go. Nick. That was
Danielle.
his name.
Yeah, they're split up.
Yeah, they split up like a while ago.
Oh, God damn.
Yeah, so they're divorced, and same with
Danielle was.
She was a lot.
She was a
but also they're actually. Did you not know this? They're actually like they were suing Love Is Blind.
Nick and Danielle.
Yeah, because they're saying that there was all of this drama back like in behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Where they didn't like because she had some major mental health issues.
Yeah.
And apparently like they were kind of either ignoring it or just kind of like not paying attention to her mental apparently it was like quite bad.
God damn.
I know. Look into it later.
Kay.
It's quite interesting.
Okay.
So they're suing the show. I don't know if they're still
win.
doing it right now or whatever. So there's that, and then there was the cute little like black girl. What's her name? I think it was it the same season? That really like attractive black couple. Do you remember the really cute girl and then the really kind of tall big guy?
The guy that liked to party and stuff.
Yes. I don't remember their
names?
names.
Yeah.
They also got divorced.
Oh.
And then there was. I don't fucking remember. Anyways.
Yeah.
So a few have stayed together so far.
And a few have split up.
So far, there's been 2 divorces that I know of. There might be more. I can't remember.
Yeah. I have to Google it after, guys.
Yeah. So basically, okay. So there was.
Now I think we should talk about JP and what was her name?
Taylor.
Yes.
So the first couple
was it Taylor?
Yeah, I think so. The first couple that got engaged. Let me double check though.
Yeah, let's just double check this, guys, because like
we want to make sure the facts are there. Yeah. Okay, we are journalists after all.
We want the receipts.
Yes. So Taylor and JP.
Yeah. Oh my God.
This season, the men are just competing to be the worst possible ever.
Because the weird thing about JP, right? The weird thing about it. First of all, can we just take a moment to cringe about how he's rah USA for everything?
Oh my God, he's such like a Trumper.
Oh, he literally, guys, like if you didn't watch the show, basically this guy, like he's the guy that would wear like, he always had to have an article of clothing that was the United States flag. So he would like either have like his socks would be like the US flag or his t-shirt or his underwear.
I didn't even notice until people started mentioning
it. It was so, even like when they went to the Mexican resort, he wore like USA swim shorts. And I was just like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I get it if you're proud of your country and stuff.
No.
I feel like there's nothing more cringy. The only time, from my perspective, that it's acceptable to like have this massive flag or things like that is like at a festival. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like where you have like, people have the flags as capes and stuff.
Or if
it's kind of
like
cool.
4th of July or whatever.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A day that you celebrate.
But like just to wear it in everyday life. Like I never wear like Canadian flag shit. Like it's so random.
America. Apparently there's like American flags everywhere. It's like very... I don't know. Weird.
Very that. But anyway, so
JP and Taylor, first couple to get engaged. As soon as they see each other, JP like he has this weird awkward face.
It's no, but it's like beyond that. The thing that got me is like they're in the pods, right? They're having actually pretty okay conversation. They're like connecting on things. Yeah. They seem, and actually I was like, I kind of am buying this couple right now.
Yeah,
like,
I was kind of buying it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, cool. They got engaged. And then the second they saw each other, like you said, they went up to each other. They like, said, and then they sat down on the couch next to each other.
And he was just being so awkward.
Oh, he wouldn't say a single word.
He just smiled really weirdly.
He was just kind of like.
No, he just kept smiling like with his teeth, but then it didn't look genuine.
Like,
it
looked
was
so
very
fake.
awkward.
And then they go to Mexico, and if things couldn't get more awkward, they did. This man, literally, it's like when he was in the pods, he could speak, and then as soon as he left the pods, he was incapable of making conversation.
Yeah.
So he literally would not talk.
Yeah, it was so awkward.
And Taylor was like, and I feel bad for Taylor, to be honest.
Taylor was my favorite.
Yeah.
She was like, it seems she's like trying to bring up this thing because like that's also awkward to bring up. Like, hello, you seem very different from the pods. And she's like trying to bring it up, being like, this is very awkward. Like, why are you not speaking? Why are you not talking? And he's just like, well, like, it's awkward because you keep saying it's awkward, or like some weird
he was
shit like
being
this.
really weird about it. And then the whole time she's like, look, like I just want to have a conversation with you. Like, it's like fucking pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Like, can we be like, we're in the pods? Like, let's have a conversation.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't like to be forced to have conversation.
He's like, yeah. And then they have a blow up, but it was like the most random blow up. He
finally says something.
Yeah, he finally.
And now we know why he wasn't saying anything this entire time, because when he opened his mouth, bullshit just came out.
Oh my God.
So he was like, okay, so basically, I think this was like one of the last nights that they were in Mexico.
Yeah.
And basically he was like, again, they're having the same conversation over and over again. She's like, this is awkward, blah, blah, blah.
Which it would be. I would be doing the same thing. If I all of a sudden was with this guy in Mexico after we had a great conversation in the pods and he wasn't even fucking talking to me, I would lose my shit. I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Yep. Like, why aren't you talking to me? Like, what is going on? And then he turns around and he is like, it was probably like one of the biggest dick moves of the whole season. And he goes, well, you're very like fake looking, like you wear too much makeup, all this stuff. Like you look fine without all that makeup. Like you don't need to wear all that shit on your face. It's like, you don't want me to wear makeup? He's like, yeah, don't wear makeup.
Well, basically he was like, the minute like we saw each other, I noticed that you wore way too much makeup.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, I'm a girl, like we wear makeup. Like, and he's like, well, I just don't like all the lashes and the makeup. Like it just looks really fake. And I even got like makeup on my shirt. Like, oh my God. And then she's like, oh my God. She's like,
has he dated a girl before?
Exactly.
Like,
have you seen women? Like,
yes.
And also you're on television. Of course she's going to be wearing makeup. Like what the fuck do you expect?
It's so stupid.
And then she's probably just like shocked. She's like, are you serious? And he's like, you look so much better without makeup. Like men, okay, this is the thing. You're allowed to say a woman looks good without makeup.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. I think that's a compliment. Great. But when you say it the way that he said
he said it as
he's like, oh, every woman would love to hear this. I'm like, 0 women would love to hear what you just said.
Yeah. Basically, he said she looks trashy.
Exactly.
With all the makeup on. She looks fake.
Trashy.
Yeah.
Who wants to hear that?
Exactly. It's not like, oh, you look better without makeup on. That wasn't the way he positioned it. And the way you would say it is, you look really good with
or without.
Exactly.
Yes.
Not like, oh, you look so much better without makeup. You're so fake. And honestly, like I thought personally, I really liked Taylor. I thought she seemed really sweet.
And she was gorgeous.
She was
with or without makeup.
Exactly. She was so pretty. Yeah, she had some fake lashes. Yeah, she had probably a little bit of lip filler. But like she didn't look like some of the past seasons where people look like a lot of work.
Over the top.
Exactly. I was like, what is wrong with this guy? He's lucky that this gorgeous girl.
I know.
And because he was like very plain looking. And I was like, you're lucky. You're lucky that this girl is even with you.
Yeah.
And you won't even fucking talk to her, man.
It was insane.
So anyway,
yeah.
Next morning, and I would have done the same thing as Taylor.
I was so happy.
Oh, me too.
She did.
Like she was like, "Here's your ring. I don't want to fucking be part of this. Like
so
this is bullshit."
she left.
Yeah.
Which I was like, thank God we do not do the disrespect. Okay, because that's definitely a deal breaker.
Oh, for sure. Like you had this great this amazing emotional connection in the pods that nobody knows what it's like.
And you're throwing it away for the makeup.
Yeah.
Some people are saying that he's just bullshitting.
Yeah.
And that I don't know. I don't really know. Either way, whether or not he's bullshitting, no.
Yeah.
Like that's just so fucking stupid.
Oh, it was so dumb.
And also, like, are you dumb? Like, do you think she's gonna show up barefaced? Again, you're on television. Like, you are filming. there's going to be makeup. Like,
it's
what?
the stupidest thing. And this is the thing that gets me about that. I would get it if, like, because there are some girls that almost take makeup to the extreme where it's like a lot.
Exactly.
When
Like,
it's like
she wasn't
so
crazy.
much.
Yeah.
But her makeup was not even insane. Like,
Yeah.
she had, like I said, fake lashes, a little bit of lip filler, but her makeup overall, it wasn't like she was doing like harsh blue eyeshadow and fucking glitter everywhere and fucking like drag makeup. You know what I mean? Like, it was fine. Like,
and it's not like she looked like again, like, it's not like she looked like horrible without makeup, right? She looked great without makeup too.
Yeah.
So it's not like she was like catfishing him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because, like, maybe if she looks so different without makeup, then even then, like, fucking don't say it like that.
Yeah.
But, she looked fine either way. Like, she looked good either way. Much better than his fucking,
oh my God,
basic ass.
And wearing those United States everything. I was just like, oh God, this guy is
Thank God
such
she left.
cringy.
She's like, I'm gonna leave. I'm like, yes, girl. Because before this, I was kind of like, oh, she's okay. Like, I wasn't like, I didn't hate her, but I wasn't like a big fan.
Yeah.
But after she left, I was like, she's my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that shit.
No, I'm glad she did it. And honestly, Taylor, if you watch this podcast, props to you. I think that was amazing because I think, you deserve a much better man. It sounds like you're dating someone great now.
Yes.
So, but
a private message to Taylor.
Yeah, a private message to Taylor. And JP, if you're watching, you're a fucking idiot and get over yourself.
And she looks so good at the reunion.
Oh,
I was like,
so
girl,
good. Yes.
you came for the revenge.
Oh, she came for the revenge.
Prepared.
She came for the revenge and she got it.
Mm-hmm. She looked so fucking good. I was like, yes, girl.
And
okay.
he couldn't even at the reunion. Like, I mean, it was uncomfortable to watch.
I know.
Like, to watch them interact in Mexico. And I felt so bad for Taylor because I know how I feel in awkward silence.
Yeah.
So I just like cringily felt for her. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is this guy not talking?
It's so
like, he would
awkward.
just sit there.
So no, but he always just had that really weird smile. And it was very like, yeah. I just get really awkward.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, stop. Like, you need to stop. So there was that.
Yeah. So they split up, didn't get married.
Great. Wonderful.
Fantastic. Props to you, Taylor.
Next couple. There is the lovely
Izzy
and what's her name?
Stacy, isn't it?
Stacy.
It was
yes.
Stacy, right? Yeah.
Izzy and Stacy. Izzy, another, like, I feel like there's always like the same, like, there's very similar characters in each season. So Izzy is giving very much what's his fucking name?
Bartholomew? No, what?
No, what's his name? You know who I'm talking about.
Do I?
What's his name? Another guy that was attractive at first, but then he wasn't attractive.
Was it?
It started with a B, didn't it?
I thought it was Bartholomew, wasn't it?
Wait.
Bart? No.
Hold on. Bartiz. Is
Bartiz.
it Bartiz? Yeah, Bartiz, right?
Yeah.
Yes, this guy. Yeah. He very much gave me Bartiz vibes. Slightly.
Yeah.
I don't know. He wasn't as bad as Bartiz.
No.
I think Bartiz was horrible.
But I thought, you know what I thought was funny with Izzy? Like, right away when he got on the show, right? And first of all, like, out of the guys who I would date personally, like, not personally,
attractive?
he was the most physically, like, how the kind of guy I would go for.
Yeah, he was
like,
very attractive.
He was super attractive.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because he like gets on the show and he's like, oh, I'm so glad that we're doing this Love is Blind because, there's so many girls that like won't date me because I'm bald. And I'm like,
I know, right?
I'm like, you're fucking hot. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he just happened to have his like head just completely shaved, like clean shaved or whatever. Built body, like sleeve tattoos.
Very attractive.
I was like, okay, you're a good looking guy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you could tell he was a player as well.
Yeah. They always do this though. In every season, they always try to make it seem like they didn't just pick hot people.
Yeah.
By basically making these hot people talk about, listen, everyone has insecurities. I understand that.
Of course.
But it's just so, like, when you have like a super attractive person on television, basically picking out something so minuscule that nobody else would notice.
Yeah.
And saying like, this is like, oh my God, like, I'm so glad we're doing this experiment. Like there was one guy like last season or something that wasn't like one of the last contestants, but he was like very attractive, but had like, like he had like grays or something. And he was like, oh my God, like, women just like, like I just get so insecure about like my hair. And he had this like beautiful head of hair, fucking giving George Clooney vibes.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh my God, it's just like, just stop.
Yeah.
Okay? Just stop. It's giving like billionaires complaining about their money. Like, we don't need to hear this. Okay.
Cry me a river.
Cry me a fucking river. You know you're attractive. That's the fucking thing. You know you are like, like attractive.
And Izzy knew.
He fucking knew.
Oh, he
That's
knew.
why I was like, oh my God, you need to shut the fuck up about
Yeah.
your, oh my God. This one time, this like one woman like said ew because I was bald. I was
I
like,
took my
okay.
hat off and she was like,
Okay, well, welcome to other people's lives all the time where they always get made fun of for
Exactly.
their looks. Okay,
So,
so,
like, come
fuck
on.
off. Anyway,
calm the fuck down.
calm the fuck down, sit your ass down,
Yes.
and like
sit your ass down.
sit your ass down and realize that you are annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So Izzy and what's her fucking face?
Stacey.
Stacey.
Now,
Thoughts?
oh,
I forgot about them now.
Stacey. Overall, initially I kind of liked Stacey.
Me too.
But then
Yeah.
she had this whole thing with Johnny, who was also
Yeah.
another.
Johnny, the other couple, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, Johnny kind of dated Izzy for a little bit, like when they were all in the pods.
Right.
Izzy
Everyone
was dating.
like obsessed with Izzy.
I know.
Even though his personality was just very like.
Oh, it was like mediocre.
I feel like everyone likes those guys though that are like Izzy's personality very much like it was giving like Barnett, very like don't give a shit, kind of like I don't know how to describe his person, just kind of like surface level almost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But the girls seem to love it.
They seem to fucking
They're
love
like,
it. They're
"Oh my
just like all
God,
falling over head over heels over this fucking man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Izzy was dating obviously Lydia. He was dating Johnny. He was dating Stacey, and Lydia he ended quite early, I think. And then I remember him being with Stacey and Johnny for quite some time. And then the thing that got me though is later he broke it off with Johnny.
Which was also very dramatic.
It was, yeah. And then afterwards, he like later, like in the season, he was like talking about how him and Johnny like never dated. And I was like, he was like, yeah, we didn't date. And I was like, well, hang on a second. Yes, you did. Like
you guys qualified this as dating.
exactly.
So yeah,
this
you were
is
dating.
this is fucking dating. You're in the pods. That's exactly what you're doing. You went on several dates
Yeah.
with her, so you were dating. So
Yeah.
fuck off, Izzy.
I-
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so Stacey and Izzy
Yeah.
got engaged.
Yeah.
It seems as though this is one of those couples that decided not to discuss
Finances.
or Izzy just hid a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had bad credit.
There's a lot of questions about Izzy. Okay.
Yeah.
Izzy, do you have a job?
Yeah. There was.
What is
did he have a
your-
job? Like I was confused.
Like he was very much giving, oh yes, I have so many things going on.
You know what he was giving? He's giving, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm starting a tech startup.
Yes. It's giving entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. He's like, oh yes, like this thing is happening, which is fine. But it's just like, you know, you can just be honest about where you're at.
Exactly.
That's
I feel
cool.
like that whole thing though, guys, we make a joke about it, but like, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of like tech entrepreneurs that take, you know, make it big and whatever else. But I feel like there's so many guys that are like, oh, like Bitcoin bros, or like I'm starting an app. I'm developing
Yes.
an app, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, how do you make your money? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know, currently I'm bartending, but I'm making an app. So, and you know, who knows? It could take off, and it could. And there's nothing wrong with
Exactly.
bartending either. But like,
There's nothing wrong with it.
it's
Just
like,
be honest.
Just be honest about it. Like,
It's like if you're a bartender, just be a bartender. Don't be like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, oh, that word gets me.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the thing is, it's like it's only men that do this shit.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Because women, we have to like hide our success. So we're like, even if we're successful, I don't even use the word entrepreneur. Even though I am technically an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But I don't use that word because it seems weird to me. But
Yeah.
like these men that have never had a successful business in their lives.
are like, I'm an entrepreneur.
It's like, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh my God. Anyways, so Izzy, we don't know if he has a job.
Yeah,
okay?
we don't know still to this day.
And then they had this like big conversation. Essentially, I don't know, Izzy was weird. Like he seemed very mature.
Yeah, he definitely seemed like he would like hide things. Like he was like very
yeah.
he's very like that kind of guy. Like he basically, because Stacey would question him quite a lot about the whole financial thing, and she was like, why didn't you tell me that you had bad credit, and why didn't you tell me these things? And he's like, well, you know, it just never really came up in conversation.
Or there was
blah,
never
blah,
a
blah.
right time.
There was never a right time. And she's like, well, when is the right time? Like
Yeah.
he was like skirting around the issue, because I feel
Yeah.
like he hides things. Like he never really would be fully honest.
So he had like bad credit or something.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is important when you are about to get married,
Yeah.
because like that's going to impact your, you know, because like the thing with marriage is like the biggest thing is like finances. Okay.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, probably the entire point of marriage, one of the main points is to have some sort of financial merging, you know, and financial like, you know, benefits essentially. And one of the biggest reasons people divorce is finances.
Yeah.
So it is very important. It's not shallow. It's real world shit. Okay. So then, yeah, like right before they were about to, you know, walk down the aisle, he basically like, I guess they had some conversation. And he was basically like, oh yes, like my finances. Oh, like I have bad credit or something.
And then I remember him talking to his groomsmen. He's like, I didn't think it would be a big deal. Why is she freaking out about it? And it's like,
this is another thing. It's like these men. It's like fucking, like if it's not a big deal, why don't you tell me earlier?
exactly. If you didn't think it was a big deal, why didn't you find a great moment to just fucking tell me?
Oh, so annoying. So they walked down the aisle and then she said no, thank God.
Yeah.
I was like, this girl, she cannot say yes to this.
No.
And also like, it just seemed very, she was very much like, I'm a successful. She also came from a rich family.
Yeah,
okay.
she did, yeah.
Also, another thing that annoyed me about Stacey was when she was like, talking about her family and like, she's like, oh yes, she it's also giving, it's the same energy as when good looking people complain about like their minuscule insecurities.
Right. Yeah.
She was very much being like, oh yes, my family struggled so much because like my grandpa or like my great grandpa got his like farm taken away or some like some insane shit.
Yeah.
Like trying to like portray, and I'm sure she worked hard, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But trying to like portray this idea that she somehow was like rags to riches story.
Yeah.
Whereas it's so obvious that like, you had a good upbringing. And again, I think she did work hard.
And there's
she
nothing
has
wrong
her
with
own
having
place.
a good upbringing.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
it's just, it's very much giving Victoria Beckham saying she's working
Oh my
class.
God, I was just about to
Yes!
say that. I
So
haven't.
why are you obsessed with this idea?
I haven't watched.
I haven't watched it either.
the thing, but it's been like it's viral on TikTok.
Yes.
And it's so fucking funny,
It's
guys.
so funny. It's one of my favorite clips.
Oh, me too. Victoria Beckham goes, yeah, we're both from really hard working class families. And like David Beckham like opens the door while she's in the interview and he's like, tell him the truth.
Yeah.
Tell him the truth.
Don't lie.
What car did your dad drive you to in school? And she was like,
She's
well,
like, I'm not lying. I'm not
well,
lying.
it depends. It depends. He's like, no, tell them what car. What car was it? What car? And she
What
goes,
was it, a Rolls Royce?
yeah, which is a fucking expensive car.
And
She's
this
like,
was like in the 80s.
I know. So I was like, obviously your dad was very successful.
And then David Beckham's like, thank you.
yeah,
Closes the door.
I was like, yes.
Because I guess David Beckham did really
Yeah,
come
he
from a
did.
working
Yeah.
class background, but I don't know why. Like people just, it's
I
fine
think
to
it's,
say.
I think it's that people are like, and I don't know why. Again, they think they're more like ashamed, or I kind of see it, not ashamed, but like if I came from a really wealthy family and I was successful, I would think people only think I'm successful because my
Right.
family has money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I think there's a part of that. So you kind of want to. I think a lot of people that come from wealthy families, they kind of want to hide it a little bit, or just say like, oh, we were like rags to riches, or like
Yeah.
try to skirt around it because they don't want their successes diminished either.
Which I understand to some extent, but I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything. I think it's very obvious, okay, when people like Victoria Beckham says shit like that.
I know.
And there's nothing wrong with it. I get it. There is some like
Yeah.
stigma against nepotism or whatever.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, and I don't want to discredit people's success, like no matter where you come from in your walk of life, but like let's just be real here
Let's
for a
call
minute.
a spade a spade.
Exactly. If you do come from like a very wealthy family or a very privileged background, you're just afforded more opportunities in
So
life.
many more.
Regardless. Like
Exactly.
whether or not you physically, you could still work really hard, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that might give you even more opportunities because you worked hard.
Yes.
But you're given a baseline of better opportunities than everyone
Exactly.
else. So like you're kind of,
Yeah.
it's like I saw this really good TikTok, or I don't know if it was a TikTok, but it was like there's a bunch of people all starting a race.
Yeah. I know what
And
you're talking about.
yeah, and basically the guy's like, okay, I have $100 here. Whoever runs to me the fastest gets this $100. But he's like, well, hang on a second. For those of you that your parents are still together, take a step forward.
Right.
And then he basically like said, and everyone was starting quite different lines.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is privilege.
Yeah, it's true.
You have a better
It's true.
chance. It doesn't mean that somebody that's way at the back, maybe if they're a really fast runner, they might make it and get it
Yeah,
the $100,
exactly.
but they have to work that much harder.
It's
And
true.
so, yeah, anyway.
Exactly. So she was kind of giving me a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah, she
it
was.
And I'm like, okay, girl, it's fine to say you come from, pretty good family, but I worked really hard and
Yeah.
I got here, whatever.
Well, and you could tell, like, even when her dad was talking about it, he's like, and sometimes love needs to fly first class. And I was like, love never needs to fly first class. Okay, guys? Like, that is not a
Exactly.
thing where, like,
yeah.
yeah.
But can we talk about Izzy and his paper plates? What do we
Oh
think
my
about
God.
that?
Oh my God.
How old was this man? 29.
He was 29 years old, guys. I'm sorry.
Is this a deal breaker?
It is a fucking deal breaker. It's so weird.
Yeah. At first I was like, is this normal? And then like I thought about it for more than 2 seconds and I was like,
It's not normal.
this is not normal.
Because they're disposable, right? So like if you eat it, you have
That's
to throw it
another
away.
thing that bothers me. I'm like, do you not care about the environment? What are you doing?
Exactly. So guys, if what we're talking about is basically Stacy goes to Izzy's house and he opens the cupboards, and all he has in his cupboards for like cutlery and all sorts are like plastic plates, paper
He
plates,
just doesn't own any actual
glassware or plates.
like
ceramics.
ceramics, nothing.
I was just
It's
like,
just all disposable.
Yeah, which makes me think well, that's another thing too. This is another thing that okay.
What's the other thing?
This is the other thing, right? We talked about how he had a bad credit score, all this other stuff, right? He obviously had some financial issues. Well, maybe if you weren't buying paper plates every single week, you would. That's one thing. Also, chances are, if you have fucking paper plates and paper cups in your house, you're probably going out to eat a lot.
Yeah,
because
that's
you're
true.
not going to be really entertaining people at your house with fucking paper plates.
Oh my God.
You know, so that contributes to you not being smart with your money.
Totally.
Like-
and I think also it's like, are you lazy? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of an adult person? Again,
Like, am I going to a frat house here? Like,
Exactly.
what is this?
It would make sense maybe if you were in college.
Yeah.
That's the only time, that's the latest time this is acceptable.
Even in
Okay?
university, I had
It
fucking
is-
normal plates.
You can go to the dollar store
Yes.
and buy actual plates
Or-
for like $1 each.
Yeah, or you can go to IKEA and they
It
have
is so
they have the
cheap.
box sets that are like
Exactly.
not that expensive.
It's not about money because, yeah, you're right. If you have to keep buying those things, it's much more expensive.
You would spend more if you had to keep buying paper
Yes.
plates and cups than if you bought a set.
It's like, are you lazy? What was his excuse?
I can't
It was
remember.
like so fucking random.
Oh, he was-
I'm like, are you just lazy to do dishes? Because that's another turn off.
Exactly. Well,
Oh.
I think he was, because one of the things he said in the pods to Stacey was he's like, I'm going to cook for you a lot. I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah,
do
he
all
was
this
just like a
stuff.
lot of talk.
Yeah, and then she was like, one of the things she called him out was she's like, you haven't cooked dinner once
Yeah.
since we've met, and again.
Like, I will.
This
I will.
this goes back to me saying he probably went out to eat a lot because he has paper plates. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's certain things, and then he doesn't cook dinner. Surprise, surprise. It's all coming together,
I
guys.
just never understand. It's like, you have an apartment.
Yeah.
How do you not have dishes? Like,
I
I
know.
don't get it.
Like, I would get it if he had like just moved there and like was in the process of buying stuff for his new place.
Yeah.
But I'm like
29 years old.
I don't get it.
Come on, people.
I don't get it whatsoever.
29. And then, so, well, here's the one that I wanted to ask about. So Stacey also found a bunch. Was it Stacey? I think this was the couple where she found a bunch of stuff from his like exes or something.
Right, in a box.
First of all, buddy, you don't have any dishware, but you have all this random shit from your
Oh.
exes. Like, get your shit together.
That's weird.
Anyways, so what do we think about keeping little trinkets
Uh,
from ex-lovers? Because I think she overreacted a little bit.
I also do, but I also think like
Like, what did he have though? I can't remember.
This is and hear me out on this one.
Okay, I'm
This is
hearing
where I
you
think
out.
it's weird, okay?
Okay.
Keeping things from ex-partners, not a big deal. Like, let's say for your birthday,
Yeah.
they got you a Fitbit or like whatever, right?
Exactly.
You still keep that shit, right? But what I think it's weird is when you have a box.
Or
and
did
you-
he have like a box full of stuff
I
like
think
this?
it was. I think it
can't
was.
remember.
Was it a box? I can't
I
remember
don't know.
now. But like that, I think is a little bit weird. Like, don't get me wrong. Like having like, oh,
Right.
I got this sweater from my ex, or I
Yeah.
got like this little bracelet,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like people keep things. You know what I mean? Or they bought me a really cool mug, and I still have it.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
those kind of things. But if you store it all in one little like sacred
was that
place,
Was that the thing though?
I think it
can't
was
remember.
a box. Now I need to rewatch.
No, we don't need to rewatch.
No, I definitely don't need to rewatch.
I do think the way that she worded it though, it seemed like she didn't want him to keep anything from
Yeah,
his
and
ex.
that's weird.
And I thought that was kind of weird. I was like, okay, it doesn't really matter because some people put more of an emphasis on materials than other
Mm.
people. Like for me, I can keep things from, exes.
Yeah.
But I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, to me, it's like there's no emotional attachment.
right.
I keep random shit all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a maximalist. I keep random
Oh
shit.
yeah, that's the understatement of the year.
So it's like for me, it's like, but yeah, I get it if it's like, for example, if it's something like someone's earrings, then I probably wouldn't keep it if I was a guy because that's kind of weird.
That is weird. Like,
And he was keeping like earrings and shit.
yeah, it was weird stuff. Like again, that stuff I think is weird.
But maybe it's like memorabilia, like photos. She says she
Mm.
just deletes all the photos of her. Like, I'm like, God damn, she's a nice queen.
She just clears them out of her life. Some people need that to compartmentalize.
Yeah, but
and
I
just
think
say,
everyone's
like,
different. Like, I
yeah.
don't delete everything.
Well, this is the thing. It's funny because I have like obviously not calling anyone out or anything, but like we all have this, and I'm sure everyone has seen this, where we have friends on Instagram, right? All of our friends on Instagram or Facebook. And it's funny because I have some friends
That keep the photos.
So you go onto their Instagram page, they still have photos with their ex,
Right.
and then I have other friends where like
Immediately.
immediately you go through their page and it's like they've deleted every single
So
fucking
what
photo.
would you do? Would you delete?
No, I don't think I would delete.
I
It's part of your life.
No, no,
It's
no.
a memory.
No. You archive those, okay? Because
Okay.
Instagram's different. It's not just a memory. You don't have to delete it from your phone. I want to delete things like from my actual like private drive, okay?
Yeah.
Like my cloud or whatever. I would still keep things, but off of the public profile, like on my Instagram page, it's all gone, bitch.
Wow, ice queen.
Why do I don't need to show people
that you've had
my
a breakup.
previous, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't need to air that shit out. Like that shit is going. I barely show it when I'm in.
That's true. When you're in a relationship,
I don't even show it when
that's
I am.
true. I mean, Rose, you have to actually post a picture with your boyfriend to have to remove it. Okay.
Okay, well, listen, I value private life.
No, that's so true. I mean, you are a public figure, so it's a little different.
Yeah, so I think it's like,
Yeah.
until there's a ring on this finger,
Mm-hmm. Gonna keep that shit.
you ain't getting on my feed.
No. Like, nope, no chance.
So anyways, Izzy, so clearly he's very mature.
Yeah.
Stacey, also not the biggest fan. She's also just a bit like, I don't know how I feel about Stacey.
Yeah, I have mixed
She's
feelings
giving
about her.
mean girl energy.
Yeah, and
There's always a girl like that too.
well, and this is the thing. The reaction she had with Johnny was like so over the top. I was like, you just need to, because like,
she was weird.
yeah, she was like, don't even look at me.
Yeah. And Johnny, I didn't like her at first, but then later I was like, actually, I'm kind of on Johnny's side.
Yeah.
Because Stacey seems insane and unhinged.
Because she was just like, Stacey was going crazy about her. And then like Izzy, so Johnny ended up, obviously she was dating Izzy. They split up. And then Johnny started dating,
well, she was dating this guy named Chris, I think,
yeah.
who I thought was a good guy. And then in the reunion, he was basically like, yeah, I cheated on her.
yeah, I cheated on her. And now I'm with that girl that I cheated on her with.
Anyways,
Yeah.
but so with Johnny, so okay, I guess we're pivoting to Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, yeah, Johnny was dating Izzy. She was like obsessed with Izzy because apparently every girl's obsessed with this immature
Oh my
fucking
God.
man
Ugh.
who doesn't have fucking
It's because
like
he
regular
talks a
forks.
good talk, right? Like
That's what it is.
he's a good talker.
He's such a con man.
He is, because like he said to Stacey, oh yeah, I'm gonna cook you dinner all the time, gonna make it real special for you. And then it's like in reality, it's like, well, actually you didn't deliver on any of those.
This is what I mean by the pods, okay? People can say anything they want.
Oh, so easily.
And it doesn't have to be true.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you don't have enough time. You have maybe a month. And, obviously that was enough time for Stacey to figure it out.
Yeah.
But normally, like, people can put on a charm for a month.
Of course.
People can charm anyone.
You can act really well for a month.
Exactly.
Like, for example, myself, like I'm not the most, like my place is usually clean, but it's not the most organized, right? Like I usually have like things around and stuff. But for a month, I could pick up my shit. I could make the house really nice.
Yeah, in the beginning of the relationship.
Exactly. I could do that. But then over time, things would slide.
Well, and that's another thing about these pods that's really fucking annoying is that it doesn't take into consideration how people behave in like a stressful situation or when real life events happen, right? Because that to me is one of the most important things. Like, how do you compose yourself in like a stressful situation or when real shit happens?
Yeah.
But when you're in a pod and you're just like in this comfy situation, you have like fucking pillows everywhere, you have unlimited alcohol, and you're just having the best time. So of course you're gonna be on your best behavior. So this is the thing about, this is one of the things like when you're even like for people that start like long distance relationships, I don't like there's nothing wrong with long distance relationships, but I think this is where it can be difficult because if you're just talking on the phone most of the time, especially in the very beginning of the relationship, it's like you don't really get to see how this person is in real life.
Yeah, or like like you said, in stress. Like this is the
Exactly.
thing, especially with like, and again, I'm not going to knock long distance relationships, but like that's another thing too. Like, let's say I was dating someone that didn't live in Calgary, and we saw each other once a month on the weekend when either he could come here or I could go to where he was. Right, that weekend. We would have not really any stresses. It would be like a fun time. We only see each other that one weekend.
You're kind of on vacation.
Exactly. We want to make it special because we don't see each other very often.
Yeah.
But then it's like the reality of the day-to-day for the rest of the week, we don't see each other, right? So it's like, it's very different vibes, right?
Maybe this is the answer. Maybe a long distance relationship.
Maybe that's, they say, what is it? Distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, we're going to start dating long distance.
Yeah.
We'll find love somewhere else.
Somewhere else in the world. And then, yes, guys, I'm currently single. So feel free to slide into my DMs.
The three gay men that listen to this podcast, do slide in, guys.
Yeah.
Daniel will answer.
I will, yeah,
depending
probably.
on many factors. What were we saying?
We were talking about Johnny.
So Johnny.
Yeah.
So Johnny, again, was in love with this fucking Izzy dude.
Yeah.
And then he like dumps her.
Yeah.
And she's like freaking out, whatever.
She was super upset about it.
She broke up with Chris
Yeah,
first.
so she was dating Chris and Izzy.
Yes.
And she broke up with Chris first because she's like, I really like Izzy, so I'm going to be honest.
Because she thinks that Chris was too safe, as in
Yeah.
he was too like, he was like a nice guy.
Yeah.
And she was giving like avoidant vibes. Like she
Well, she was.
was like,
And
she
she even
wanted a toxic situation.
Because she even mentioned her previous relationships were really toxic.
Yeah.
She seems to go for toxic guys. And then what does she do in the pods? The nice guy, she's like,
Yeah.
too safe. I want some adventure with Izzy.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're literally following the same pattern.
Yeah.
Then Izzy breaks it off with her. She gets super emotional, crying, bawling.
Yeah.
Runs back to Chris. is like, Chris, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, blah, 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 blah. And Chris like, I gotta think about this. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyways, so much drama.
Eventually, they did not get together.
No.
And so Chris was like, no.
Yeah.
But apparently, when they were leaving the show,
Yeah.
because they didn't get engaged, they saw each other at the airport and then they fell in love.
Yeah.
And then they started dating.
Yeah.
And then apparently, according to the reunion,
He cheated on her.
he cheated on her essentially. And then somehow we just like brushed that under the rug.
So the safe guy wasn't that safe. He turned out to be toxic himself.
Yep, they're all fucking toxic.
And it sucked because I liked Chris. I thought he seemed like such a nice guy.
I know, it's those nice guys though that you got to be careful.
Even when he was
of.
talking about the cheating, I was like, oh, I really, the way he talked about it,
he's like, yeah, but like, you know, we fell in love. I'm like, that's not really an excuse.
No, you still fucking cheated on your person you were dating.
Because like you should have broken it up with her first.
Exactly. Like, what are you doing? And he was like acting like it wasn't a big deal. He's like, yeah, well,
it was really annoying.
yeah. And I was like, oh, you're not actually that nice of a guy.
No,
to be
it was
honest.
very annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, just break it off with her first. Like,
Exactly.
what the hell? Anyways, so, Chris and, so basically they started dating.
Yeah.
And then, so they did this like big reunion thing where all of them gathered, which is where like everybody was fighting.
Yep.
And then this is when Stacy was like fucking full on like offense mode
Yeah, she was
toward
being
Johnny
crazy
and being
for no
absolutely
reason.
insane. There was like a part where someone was telling some crazy story.
Yeah.
And then Johnny was just like shocked. So she made a shocked face like a normal person would.
Yeah.
And then Stacy's like, why are you making that face? What's with that face? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, calm down, bitch.
Oh, she was unhinged.
She was the worst.
Yeah.
And then like Izzy starts getting involved and Izzy's like, oh, you're shady as fuck.
You're a shady person.
Again, I'm like, why do you care? Like, you're not
Yeah.
with her.
But also, how was she shady? Like, I don't get it.
Well,
Like,
there was some parts where I feel like, well, I kind of understood. I kind of understood both sides. Basically, what happened was after Chris and Johnny, no, after Izzy dumped Johnny and Johnny went back to Chris, being like, "Oh, I want to be with you." Basically, she said two different things to these men.
Right. Oh, I see what you mean,
So
yeah.
to Izzy, she said, listen, I think that we should be together because I
Right.
normally, what did she say? Like, I feel like Chris is the safe choice.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of understood later on what
she basically
was
just
saying.
told people what they wanted to hear.
Well, she said, here's what she said. She said, I think Chris is a safe choice, but but if I go with the safe choice, I'd be repeating a pattern. And so I kind of want to go with you and like risk it or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas to Chris, she said that, I feel like my pattern is usually someone like Izzy that's like toxic.
Yeah.
But like, I would rather, like I feel like I should try it with someone like you. But I think a part of me understood what she was saying, even though it sounds very contradicting.
Yeah.
So basically the boys, like they got together after this conversation and they were like exchanging notes and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, she's just telling us the opposite thing.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of got it because basically what she's saying is she's probably dated both types of men, right?
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
dated the safe guy, but then the problem is that, she didn't really fall in love with this guy because she's like probably avoidant. So the guy is like, is probably what she needs. Like it's a safe, he's a nice person. It's a,
Turned out not to be so safe though, eh?
well, yeah. So assuming that he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So she's probably dated a guy like that, but then she realized like, oh, I can't fall for someone like this because like I'm not into this.
Yeah.
And then she's also dated the toxic guy, which she did fall for, but she knows is bad for her. So I think I can kind of get what she's saying,
Yeah.
but it does sound contradictory.
Yeah, but I still think they overreacted. It was so stupid.
I know they just fucking overreacted.
You're a shady person.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, calm the fuck down. Like again,
Reminds
who
me
cares?
of that Hills episode.
You're no, he's a sucky person.
He's a sucky person. I kind of want to rewatch The Hills.
Oh my
just
god,
to
it's
see
gonna
how bad
be.
it was.
I don't think you can like sit through it, Daniel.
It probably is really.
It's so bad.
Like I said, I saw some clips on YouTube and I was just like, oh my god, how was I into this show? Like,
I know.
because I used to be obsessed. I think everybody
too.
was.
I was so into it.
And I'm just like looking back at like a couple of things that came up on the YouTube, and I was like watching it. And I was like, how did I first of all, how did I think it was real? Because the acting is like, it's acting.
Yeah.
And like secondly, like how was I into it? Because actually it's kind of boring.
Yeah,
Like it's not
it's so
really that
boring.
interesting. Like
It's so boring, but I think it's just like, again, it was like one of those the first
of its
types of
kind.
shows.
Yeah.
And also, I think it was the allure of, oh, like they're living in the hills and
Yeah.
they're so rich and they're doing all this like fun stuff, like going to these
they're
fancy
working in
bars.
fashion and they're like
Exactly.
living their best life and they're beautiful.
Exactly.
And
They're
like,
going to like a fancy bar every single week and
Yeah.
going to some event and
yeah.
dating Bobby, what's his face?
Oh God.
What was his name?
I can't remember his name.
Anyway, he was also very annoying.
And Adrian Brody was in it, or not Adrian Brody.
Oh, Brody Jenner.
Brody Jenner was in it.
Who was quite hot.
Yeah,
but also very much nepotism.
Yeah.
Very much
And
born into
Spencer.
riches. Oh, Spencer was the worst.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that was Johnny and what's his face?
Chris.
Yeah. So
that's it.
That's
it. That was Love Is Blind, guys.
Oh my God.
It was
so boring.
It was probably the most boring season, to be honest.
Honestly, I just wanted to get to the very end, and I think the last episode, I like either didn't watch at all, like the parts, like before they get married again, they make this like whole thing where all the friends come in and they're talking. I do not pay attention
fast
at
forward,
all.
fast forward,
yeah,
fast forward.
I either
Get to the
fast
altar.
forwarded or I was just like on my phone and just like waiting for the altar.
Oh, I hear you. I
And
hear
then-
you.
Yeah, and then oh no, the one comment that Izzy said after he was rejected, FYI. So he said yes, and then she said no. Stacey said no, and then he goes, "Well, you're like 32 and you're single. No wonder you're 32 and single." Like, do you remember him saying this?
Oh, when it was a one-on-one to the camera.
Yeah,
right?
so
yeah,
to the
I remember
camera.
now. Yeah,
and he was like upset. Obviously, like I get you. You're a little bit like whatever rejected.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, like I just. Like, there's a reason why you're 32 and single. There's a reason why you're 32 and single.
Dude, you're 29. You're not that much
younger.
younger.
I'm like, first of all, you're not that much younger. Like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's giving very much like, a woman should not be single at 32. It's giving very much sexist vibes.
Well, that's him in a nutshell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, he's like, I could have given her so much, and she just doesn't know what she needs, and that's why she's single at 32. I'm like, buddy, trust me. You with the paper plates, you are not the one that's going to give her what she needs. Okay,
Can't even cook her fucking dinner.
Oh my God, that's the thing. You're so much talk. Like I just can't do with the guys that talk and don't do anything.
Well,
like,
and that is what Stacey, and I do feel like I side with Stacey in that sense.
I
She's
sided with Stacey.
She's like, dude, like you said all of these things and you've delivered on like 0 of them.
Yeah.
Like what do you want me to do? I'm going to sit here and eat off your motherfucking paper plates. Oh, that is. I mean,
that's a deal breaker.
It's so weird.
It's weird. Again, unless you just moved.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a frat house.
Why you're living in a frat house?
Even
in your
frat
30s.
houses have fucking dishes.
I know. Like I had dishes.
Like. Unless,
well, I didn't live in a frat house, but still.
And even if you were the broke thing doesn't even make sense either because paper plates also cost money.
And you have to. This is the thing
you
have
could
to
buy
remember.
one plate from IKEA.
And you reuse it for years versus a paper plate you're going to have to buy every single time. It's going to cost more.
And you're right. I think you're right. He probably just doesn't cook.
Yeah.
And he just pretends that he cooks.
Yeah.
He's probably made like one spaghetti fucking tomato sauce
Bolognese
pasta.
or something.
Yeah, one time in his life and is like, oh my God,
I'm a chef.
I can cook. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh God.
Well, that was fun ranting about something that doesn't matter at all.
It does. It's fun to do these things, guys.
Oh.
Hopefully you enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, let us know what you think
anyone
about.
cares, let us know.
Exactly. Show us some love in the comment section below.
Yes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you check out our Patreon, patreon.com/the SaVeg Podcast for bonus episodes every single month. It's going to be a fun time.
It is
I think next month we're going to do a drunken one.
We are, yeah.
For December.
Yeah.
Oh my God, next month is December.
It is.
So crazy. So yeah, next month we'll do like a fun Patreon exclusive. So you don't want to miss out. So make sure you subscribe to our Patreon. It's only $3 a month.
Yep.
Starting at $3 a month.
$3 a month.
You can give us more if you want.
Yes.
So it's very cheap and it's a fun time over there. You get every episode ad free.
Yeah.
You get every episode a week earlier than everybody else.
Yep.
And you get the bonus content. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
And what else, Daniels?
If you're watching this video on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Show us some love in the comment section down below, guys. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, hit follow, and that way you will get updates as soon as the next episodes are live. And we do have an Instagram and a TikTok.
Yeah, follow us on there, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.